that poster. And yeah, there is potentially a thing involving licensing as to why she's not on that poster. But I did get to thinking about something else that made me go, well, hold on now. Diana Taurasi's not on there. Candace Parker's not on there. Sue Bird is not on. If you're doing a 30th anniversary, why are those guys? It's so random. Even Sophie's like, why the fuck am I on this calendar?
A new episode of Sophie Cunningham's podcast has surfaced, and she didn't hold back about her team's defensive struggles. Whether fans want to hear it or not, her head coach has a reputation as a defensive specialist, yet Cunningham openly admitted the unit has been falling apart on that end. She also weighed in on the ongoing fallout from the Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark incident, questioning why Clark keeps becoming a target, and took aim at the league for failing to properly promote her.
Or this poster, why am I on there? It doesn't make any sense. Why isn't, Aaliyah Boston on there or somebody like that? It's pretty crazy. And she just says it. If I was the league, I'm putting Caitlin Clark on everything, basically. Let's check this out. Like I said, go subscribe. Sophie, this is going to make waves.
On the subject of the recently unveiled anniversary poster, there's been chatter about licensing issues potentially explaining Clark's absence from it. But Cunningham pointed out something that raised even more questions. Names like Diana Taurasi, Candace Parker, and Sue Bird were also missing from the lineup. For a 30-year milestone piece, the selection felt oddly random.
Talk about last night's game first, or do you want to talk about your meme that's all over the internet first?
We'll go last night. We'll just get it over with.
Okay.
Okay. We are not going to win very many games when people score 100 points on us, and they average, I think, around 80 points, and we let them score like 111. Our defense is horrible, and I think everyone knows that. So
yeah,
I don't know. We're how just like sometimes the of a season, it's like you're on a high.
Again, so
Cunningham herself admitted she didn't understand why she ended up on the poster at all, questioning why someone like Aja Wilson wasn't included instead. She didn't mince words, stating that if she ran the league, Clark's image would be plastered across every piece of marketing material available. Discussion shifted to the previous night's game, where Cunningham's team allowed an opponent to score well over 100 points despite usually giving up closer to 80.
Sophie, hate to break it to you, but that is throwing your coach under the bus. Which, at least you kept it real. I mean, she's a defensive coach. She holds the responsibility for that.
Sometimes you're on a low and it's on the grind. We're in the grind right now. We just haven't fully clicked yet. And we have all the potential. So when we do, it's going to be really good. But we're getting to the point of all right, what has to give? What has to sacrifice? What do we need to do to actually even start tapping into that potential?
She didn't shy away from calling the defense terrible, acknowledging everyone already sees it, pushed on whether that was throwing her own coach under the bus, given the coach's defensive background. Cunningham continued, describing the season as hitting a rough patch, a grind where the roster has talent but hasn't clicked yet, leaving the team trying to figure out what adjustments need to happen to unlock that potential. The conversation turned to whether officials reviewed a particular foul on Clark from the previous game, and it became clear they hadn't, which Cunningham called genuinely shocking.
So, I don't know.
I think I think other people would be curious about this. Obviously, anytime anything happens, I don't even know if anyone got teed up. They didn't review the foul on Caitlin last night, did they? I don't think they did.
Insane.
That's clearly what makes its rounds on social media. When you got teed up, that's what makes its rounds on social media.
Yeah.
Does when CC does get kind of, I hate using the word bullied, but
she noted that's exactly the kind of moment that blows up across social media, when a clear no call goes unreviewed. Asked whether Clark gets treated unfairly rough by opponents, Cunningham didn't dance around the word bullied, stating plainly that's exactly what it is, and there's no other way to describe it. Asked whether that bothers her teammates or whether it's something that gets blown out of proportion online compared to how it plays out live, Cunningham admitted she didn't personally witness the specific incident in real time the night before, and neither did anyone else on her squad, because if they had seen it happen, they would have stepped in to defend her.
People are fucking rough with her. There's no other way around it. Does that,
Dude, She's bullied. It is what it is. Show a sack. Just say it.
Fuck with you guys as a team, or is that just an incident that becomes a much bigger deal on the internet than it does during real time?
Well, so during real time last night, I did not see that happen. I don't, none of our team saw it happen because I promise you.
She stressed that this kind of treatment happens to Clark virtually every game, and the league, along with its officials, consistently fails to address it. Brought up on the fact that she'd previously been fined for similar comments and effectively called out both her organization and the league on her own platform, Cunningham doubled down, pointing to footage of opponents delivering cheap shots, including knee strikes and hits near the throat, adding that if any of her own teammates had been treated that way, the team would be furious. She reiterated her belief that Clark is being deliberately targeted and that neither the league nor the officiating crews are doing enough to protect her.
If we would have seen that happen, we would have had her back. Unfortunately, this type of shit happens every single game to her, and the league and the refs do absolutely nothing about it.
It's been a minute since you
Kathy Engelbert, you and your league just got thrown under the bus.
got fined on this podcast.
I have, but then like you see the videos of like literally kneeing and cheap shotting C in the throat. Like if she did that to any of our teammates, we'd be pissed. But like they are.
The discussion then returned to the anniversary poster controversy. Cunningham joked about her own inclusion on it being questionable, while expressing genuine confusion about why Clark wasn't featured given everything that's happened, including the rough treatment she's endured recently. Cunningham speculated there might be jealousy at play from league leadership, suggesting it's almost as if having the league's biggest draw somehow works against her getting proper platform support, calling the entire situation bizarre and difficult to make sense of.
They're definitely targeting her, and the league and the refs do nothing to protect her.
I mean,
it's out there now. The league and the refs do nothing to protect her. Damn.
Let's get into this now. The poster that they dropped last night, like the 30-year commemorative thing, which that you're on it, that's cool.
Why would you ever put me on it?
But people are up in arms that Caitlin's not on it, and then
she didn't hold back, calling it a joke that a generational talent, arguably the greatest player the league has seen, was left off a milestone campaign. She argued that if the league had any business sense, several current players, herself included, should be getting marketed far more aggressively, and they simply aren't. When asked whether other major names like Taurasi, Bird, or Parker shared similar grievances about being excluded, the conversation acknowledged it was strange across the board, with no clear answer for why so many notable figures were left off entirely.
Political stuff going on in this basketball game had me scratching my head. Could this be why Caitlin Clark left the game? Could this be they simply pulled her because they didn't want her to get any more of an assault on her? Let's just be honest. People saying she got benched. Maybe they pulled her because they got tired of seeing them whoop her ass, man. Whatever the case may be, somebody, just like I stated, who always there for Caitlin Clark, stood up for her time and time again when she was going through the injury stuff, is Dave Portnoy. Now, Dave Portnoy got on his podcast.
Cunningham admitted she genuinely couldn't explain the league's marketing logic, arguing that if the goal was actually generating revenue, the obvious move would be to spotlight the players fans actually want to see and who draw genuine attention, yet that's not happening. The conversation briefly touched on whether a recent elbow incident involving Clark was somehow connected to an earlier exchange Cunningham had referenced, which she dismissed as one of the weakest moments she's ever been part of, pointing back to an earlier game between the two teams. Throughout it all, Cunningham kept things blunt, essentially labeling the league's handling of marketing as a joke, particularly regarding its failure to capitalize on Clark's popularity.
And he had some things to say about Caitlin Clark, man. Let's pull it up right now. Let me get this blown up for you guys because I really want you guys to hear what he had to say on his pod this morning. Let's listen. Roll it.
Why is the WNBA so hesitant, Dave, to embrace Caitlin Clark and sometimes feels like actively antagonistic?
Well, it's the worst marketed league in the history of leagues. They're absolute morons. That's the answer.
It's described as genuinely baffling that the league wouldn't...
Morons. That's the answer. Now, a lot of times social media will take this into a different stratosphere, because I've always said I don't think you'll see this get politicized. I don't think it really is because she's a white girl, a straight girl, which people say, because the W has had a lot of white superstar and WNBA players. So it's not like she's the first white girl. A lot of the great players of all time. We just mentioned Taurasi.
Ultimately, this falls on her representation to handle. Her agent has been heavily criticized elsewhere for failing in that responsibility. An agent's entire job is to serve as the bridge between athlete and league or front office, advocating firmly on their behalf. The criticism here is that there's been little to no real leverage being used on her behalf, which feels especially frustrating given the resources and connections that exist within sports representation more broadly.
They've had great white female basketball players.
Yeah.
I think they felt she was anointed. Nobody has ever come into the league like she has, and it's jealousy and it's, I don't know, hypocrisy, and it's just not knowing where your bread is buttered is what it is. And they don't like that she has been crowned this queen of the league before she even showed up.
A figure who has consistently spoken up in support of Caitlin Clark since her college days at Iowa, Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy has weighed in once again following a recent on-court incident involving Clark and several Phoenix players. Footage circulating from the game shows Clark being grabbed around the neck during a physical exchange, with some observers arguing that camera angles can make contact look more severe than it actually was. Others who reviewed the footage closely maintain the contact appeared deliberate.
Even showed up, and they want to make a point about it, and they continue to make a point about it, and there's pressure probably from the players to the league that, and this is brutal, that they don't want her getting a special. She gets nothing. So Sophie's right, like, she gets treated and attacked and harassed differently than virtually every player. She's had it since she entered the league, but it is a very rough and tumble league to begin with. Like, there's other, you see chippy plays and things like that.
Multiple Mercury players were reportedly near Clark during the sequence, with some accused of throwing elbows and additional physical contact beyond what was captured in the main clip. The chaotic nature of the sequence has led to speculation about why Clark was eventually pulled from the game. Some believe coaching staff removed her as a precaution to avoid further physical punishment, rather than the substitution being a simple benching decision based on performance. Portnoy, who has defended Clark publicly on previous occasions, including during earlier controversy involving Angel Reese, addressed the situation on his podcast.
Like, there's other, you see chippy plays and things like that, but people are watching Caitlin specifically. People are watching the league specifically for Caitlin, and you see her getting abused and no whistle and no suspensions, and you'd have quotes from team owners, from players, from the commissioner that was just asinine. They just don't want to accept how important she is. The only reason they are flying private is because of her. The only reason they have a new CBA.
Asked why the league often seems reluctant to fully embrace Clark, and at times appears almost hostile toward her, Portnoy didn't hold back, calling the WNBA poorly marketed and criticizing league decision-makers directly. He pushed back on the idea that race or sexuality explains the tension, noting the league has had numerous prominent white stars in the past, Diana Taurasi among them, so Clark being white isn't itself unprecedented. Instead, Portnoy attributed the friction to jealousy and resentment toward how quickly Clark was elevated to star status before even playing a professional game.
CBA is because of her, but somehow it's seen as a sign of disrespect to, like, the players that came before or whatever, if you give her flowers for that.
So that was Dave Portnoy speaking about it, man, and I gotta 100% agree with him. They jealous, man. Play the clip yesterday of Charles Barkley, letting the world know how jealous they are. They're very, very jealous of the level of success Caitlin Clark has gotten, the level of notoriety.
He argued that other players and possibly the league itself have resisted giving her any special treatment, specifically because of how fast she was anointed, resulting in inconsistent officiating and a level of physical targeting he described as unlike anything other players face. He pointed out that despite the WNBA being a famously physical league overall, Clark draws scrutiny unlike any of her peers, and that the lack of corresponding fouls, suspensions, or even basic acknowledgement from team owners, players, and the commissioner has been remarkable.
As Caitlin Clark has gotten, the level of notoriety Caitlin Clark has gotten, she has become a mainstream superstar. A lot of the women in the WNBA just ain't mainstream, not even Angel Reese no more. Like, to me, Caitlin Clark is equivalent to LeBron, Luka, and all of the other mainstream NBA players. Shit, her, Sophie, that has nothing to do with her. That's because people like her more. Like, it isn't a race thing. Her style of play is better. She's well-spoken.
He argued the league's recent gains, private charter travel, and a new collective bargaining agreement among them, are directly tied to Clark's popularity, yet acknowledging that fact is treated by some as disrespectful to players who built the league previously. The commentary aligned with sentiments expressed by NBA analyst Charles Barkley, who has also pointed to jealousy as a driving force behind some of the resentment toward Clark's rapid rise.